I thought we needed a quorum.
I'm starting again.
All right, so what is today before I start? Okay, the 25th. So good afternoon, good evening, I should say, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Rec and Parks Committee. Today is the 25th of October, 2021. My name is Sebastian Felbeck. I'm calling the meeting to order at, let's go with Apple time, 6:33 p.m. So as Laura just, or Zoom just told us, Zoom is a format where with everyone able to participate, but we do ask that everyone be respectful to each other. Raise your hand and wait to be recognized before speaking. The meeting's also being recorded, and this is a public meeting covered by the Brown Act. What that means is that though Zoom's chat function is enabled, please don't use it to send private remarks to fellow participants. We will use the chat to document motions if there are any tonight. And if you're having trouble raising your hand to ask to speak, go ahead and use the chat to send the host a message and we will recognize you. For our standing committees, UNNC appoints the chair and co-chairs. Otherwise, any stakeholder attending a committee meeting is considered a member of the committee for the duration of the meeting and cannot only fully participate, but may also make motions and vote. Any action, taken by the committee is a recommendation to the UNNC governing board, which may agree or not. And I take it, Laura, you are the moderator. I texted you earlier.
Yeah, so I'm having that kind of day where I'm not really looking at texting, but yes, I'll moderate. And okay. I did just post the agenda, and there is a new language, Sebastian, that you might see as number 1. We just need to direct everyone's attention to the fact that the emergency orders from the governor are expired, but the state legislature has adopted new legislation to allow virtual meetings to continue. The shorthand is, it's called AB 361, and there's a notice about that as the item number 1 on this agenda. And if anyone wants more information, the full resolution is sitting in the online agenda packet that explains with a lot of whereases how it is that we're continuing to meet virtually.
Okay, well, I guess let me finish reading the opening remarks here. Next week, well, like you insinuated or just said, we need to approve tonight's agenda, which I think you have posted. I'm reading something else. Are you gonna?
Yeah, it is posted.
It's posted. Sorry, I was on a different screen.
Make a motion to post the agenda.
Yes, please.
Can I get a second?
Yeah, I second.
Okay, thank you.
So let me open up this. Why is my thing not opening? Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties, of course. Double click. Okay, this is just not wanting to work. I've only been on Zoom all day today, and it's now failing me. I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way, dragging it open. Okay. So
the agenda is up on the screen anyway, Sebastian.
Yeah. Okay. So let's welcome everyone, and yeah. So actually, what the determination? I guess did we just cover that, Laura?
We did.
Okay. So then let's go to item number 2, a welcome and call to order, introduction and approval of the agenda, which we already did, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so then public comment. Sadly, our public is looking a little thin today, but I invite any public comments at this point.
So if it's okay with you, I'm going to unshare the screen.
Please, it is totally fine with me.
Okay. So does anyone have any public comments on any matter not on tonight's agenda?
I guess I have to raise my hand. Can I call on myself?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question. So a few weeks ago, there was a memorial set up at Leslie Shaw. Does anybody know what happened or what that was for? No idea?
No, I don't know.
And I also just want to give a shout out to 311. I saw the other day when I was driving by on, I think, I want to say a Monday morning, that the park was totally trashed. And I'm gonna mute Arian while she gets in. The park was totally trashed, and I think one of the members of the community called 311, and you know, they had it picked up by the next morning. And I don't know how long it was in that state of disrepair, but it was totally fixed by, you know, early AM, dark 30, when I was walking my dogs the following day. So I just want to give a shout out. I was hoping somebody from PLD would, or the public landscape would be here today, but anyway, at least it's recorded for posterity and for the record that they did a phenomenal job. So that's all I have to say. There was something else, but it's escaping me at this point. So that's all I have.
Okay.
So
I see no hands raised for
okay.
public comment.
Tough crowd today. I was expecting quite a few more people. There's going to be some tongue lashings that I have later today.
So yeah, your next item is the updates from Recreation and Parks staff, and I know that Ariane is still walking about, and I know Donna had, I think, talked to Sharon, but Sharon's not here yet.
All right, let's circle back. I motion to circle back to that item, if that's acceptable to everyone.
Sure.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. What is the next item here?
It would.
Updates, highlights from Rec and Parks departments. I guess that goes hand in glove, right?
Right, and I'm apologizing that number 6 is really number 5, and it would be a round robin discussion, inviting to share ideas.
Okay, so let's jump into it. So last meeting, I asked that we kind of, and I wish more commissioners were here, but I asked that we kind of come up with a couple priority items. And I think it was Donna or Dorit that sent me the list of accomplishments for the board, kind of not to date, but to, you know, from recent history. And I really do appreciate that. I wanted to thank her publicly. But I want to continue that kind of train of excellence. And I asked everyone to just kind of bring a couple items that we can focus on, kind of important to our constituents, and as well as our community, you know, obviously our constituents, but also to us, and kind of the reason why we are sitting here. So I don't know, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with what are, you know, what you, Laura, and Donna both are kind of what's near and dear to your heart. But were you able to come up with a couple items that you think we kind of want to agendize and put on the agenda to kind of focus on or bring up each week, each meeting?
Well, I may have some thoughts, but Teresa's hand beat me to it. So let's call on Teresa.
No, certainly, Laura, you guys go ahead. My ideas can wait. It's
no, you're first.
I'd like to hear your ideas.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about trees. I guess prior to my joining the board, there were some people in Jefferson Park who thought that the playground area might benefit from having some trees. So that is something that I certainly am willing to work on to try to get some trees planted in Leslie Shaw Park. And also, and I'm not sure where we are, Donna may have more information, or maybe even Laura, what's going on with the Isidore House. Last time Sharon was here, she said that it was in planning, and I'm not quite sure what that means. I emailed her and she hasn't responded yet, but I certainly want to spend a considerable amount of my time working on the Isidore House and the renovation, the lead mitigation, whatever has to happen. I want to be right there involved in that. So those are my two things, Sebastian.
Okay, cool. And I'm not texting. I like to keep my notes on my phone. So, so Teresa, I got you down for trees at Leslie Shaw, and what's, you know, I just paraphrase here, but what's going on with the Isidore House. So I certainly think that those two things, and kind of my goal is I'd like to, and you'll see, Teresa, that I'm going to piggyback on your idea of trees and speak and kind of paint with a broader brush and just say landscaping. So if we can kind of, you know, make it a theme or, you know, kind of create an umbrella over certain ideas, I think the Isadore house is its one, it can stand alone, but like trees specifically, I think could fall under the umbrella of landscaping, say. So, there's subspecialties like the urban forester and such that we can certainly call, but I think, you'll see that mine was going to be, and I don't want to go out of turn, but you'll see that my idea kind of goes with yours. So I'm going to write down everybody's ideas and put those in a spreadsheet. And if we see kind of commonalities that would fall under one umbrella, we can kind of put those as bullets underneath those specific umbrellas. So let's see who is next.
Well, okay, if I could just say one more
Oh,
thing.
all right. I'm sorry if you weren't done. My
No,
bad.
that's okay. Regarding the urban forest division, I am the liaison or person for that, but I just recently found out who my contact is there. It's a guy named Stephen Dupree. So I just found that out at another meeting, but I am going to be reaching out to him, and this is one of the items I want to talk to him about. I can certainly invite him to come to your meeting and explain to us how it works to get more trees.
Okay.
But I may just invite him to come to the environmental committee meeting because we have trees in a lot of different areas we want to put in the UNNC footprint. So maybe you could then come and then we can bring in recreation too. But I'm not there yet, but it's something that since I just found out who my person is, I'm going to be working on.
Yeah, and do me a favor, if you do, kind of write an email to him, if you wouldn't mind just including me in CC. I think I told you this when we were speaking offline, but I'm close friends with, like really good friends with the urban forester for the city of Santa Monica, and he in turn is good friends and colleagues with his counterpart in the city of LA. So I think we can flex kind of our kind of do a pincer move and really get some traction, especially with trees, because it's near and dear to my heart as well. So as you know, so.
Okay, and then also let me just say the person that I'm going to be dealing with, there is a urban forest person who deals just with the parks and recs. I don't think this gentleman that I'm dealing with is that person. I think he's more senior. He's on the Forest Advisory Committee. But I know that there have been other calls where there is a person who's in charge of the parks, because he's always talking about, we've been talking about watering the golf courses and things like that. So I have the feeling that he's really involved in the parks and stuff. So yes, I will keep you in the loop on that.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody else have their hands up?
I see no virtual hands, but I do.
All right. I recognize your physical hand.
Thank you. So two things. One is something that Teresa's paying a little attention to, I'm beginning to, and Dorit is, and that is we do want to have a more robust tracking of funds that come from development. So it's, Quimby funds.
Oh, that's right.
And making sure to see how that's being spread about within UNNC or on the edges of. So the two things piggyback, because anyway, we're facing, for good or bad, I think good, we have a number of pending, very large scale housing projects. Two different housing projects, each with more than 350 units. And the Quimby funds come from, as I think I understand it, from units that are not deemed affordable. So if you're doing an affordable unit, you do not have to pay a Quimby fee. So, but that would imply that we're getting Quimby fees on over 600 units just from these two projects alone. So where are they going to go? And I don't know the answers, but I want us as a neighborhood council and as this committee to keep track of it so we make sure those funds do come our way. And our way doesn't necessarily mean with it. The way they seem to look at it is a radius from the project and which parks are nearby. So they might be outside of UNNC, but in theory, striking distance of the people who would be living in the buildings. I think that's the theory. So my second big thing is, I feel like many of our stakeholders and our board members don't realize what the different parks that are within or right adjacent offer, you know, soccer team where, softball team where, gymnastics program where. So I think I would like to see this committee pull together, not just the sort of scribbled map that I attempted. So we know where these parks are, but I didn't have the graphic artist skills to make it a beautiful map. But, you know, we've talked about before you joined, posting that map, you know, doing something on our website with that. But you know, here are our parks, but I think I'd like to get even further into it and say what amenities and programs each one may offer. Because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, for example, if a young family lives in Jefferson Park, obviously they can walk to Leslie Shaw because it's right there, and they have the
So would you say like an overlay map? Is that what you're trying to say? Like,
I mean, I'm using the word map, which I again sort of created one already, but it was just to guide a graphic artist, not that I'm a graphic artist. But if I was a young mom and I'm making up an address, 29th Street in Arlington. I'm using 29th on purpose. That's pretty darn close to Leslie Shaw, but you can also walk to, I'm suddenly Lauren Miller Park, which is on 29th and Dalton, or 29th and Halldale. And 29th has a stoplight at Western. So it's an easy kind of walk. But what amenities does the Lauren Miller Park offer that Leslie Shaw does not? And I don't know the answer other than it is a much bigger park and it has a rec center, so they must have programs there. So we should we have programs at South Seas that we're on top of, but what about the other programs offered to our community? That's all. And I'm saying that's all, but it's more of an gathering information and then outreach about the information we learn. Go ahead.
And we talked about this last week, and I remember it was we talked about it in relation to our website as well, which I'm ignorant of because it's like a sub tab, right? And we supposedly have a web master,
well, I think,
right?
Sebastian, you and I talked about it after the meeting.
Yeah,
not in the meeting.
That's right.
So this meeting, we're sharing ideas with publicly, shall we say, everybody. So yeah, so that would be an interesting goal, and it would have to be hand in glove with, our outreach we have an outreach committee, we have a communications committee. We have to figure it out, but I think the first step is gathering information. There's nothing to,
there's nothing to share at the moment.
Yeah, nothing to share. Other than I know, broadly speaking, Normandy Park has softball. I mean, in other words, the different parks have different things. And I know that the Queen Anne Park definitely has gymnastics because somebody who lives right here teaches it there. So.
Right, and like we have movies in the park here at Leslie Shaw, right? And you only get to learn about them if you're lucky enough to walk by and see, oh, Back to the Future is playing, right? And there's going to be a food truck here, right? And it's held by, I'm making a Boys and Girls Club, right? Although I think Back to the Future did just play, but in the summertime it played. But yeah, I totally get it. So I'm just scribbling notes I'm typing notes on my phone just so we can talk about them afterwards. So.
Right. Okay. So those are my two things, and they're both too big for one person to handle.
Okay, got it. I saw Donna's hand first. Sorry, Teresa. She was quicker under the draw.
Okay.
Sorry, Teresa. I'm thinking that there should be an opportunity for people to do what they want to do at the park and will participate in. So there should be an opportunity maybe on one of the community pages next door for people to jump in and see what they would like at their local park. And then we can adjust for it. If you want movie in the park more often, if you want a program that has opportunities for the kids to have reading, you got a library right next to Leslie Shaw. There's no excuse for more things coming out of the library for the park. There's so many things. You got a lot of young families in Jefferson Park, just as we do here in West Adams Avenue. So what people want, they need to raise their virtual hand or their actual hand and start putting something in the pot so you can get something out. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Donna. All right, Teresa, are you still interested in sharing something or saying something?
Yes, I am. I think that's a great idea, Donna, to, I don't know how to do a survey. I don't know how we would go about doing that, but I think it's a good idea to get some feedback from our actual community. I know, yes, there are young families in the Adams, in the avenues, but we also have senior citizens. If there was like a Tai Chi, maybe they would want to have, 10 o'clock Tai Chi on Wednesdays or something. I don't know. But my comment was going to be back to the Quimby funds. Yes, that whole thing it's a massive undertaking to understand all of the nuances with that. I believe when the last call, Sebastian, Sharon was on, and Sharon said that Quimby funds had been allocated for the Isidore House. I don't know all of that. I would love to find out about it. Donna, do you by chance know about that?
I know there are things in the works. I don't know as far as Isidore, they're doing studies and such. We haven't gotten out of that aspect. And those people who are in charge of making the visits, making decisions, have not made one yet. We may have to put some prodding in at some point, but it's not the time yet.
What department do
we're
they
just
work
holding
in?
out right now and seeing, because Laura will tell you, to get South Seas anywhere off the ground, it took an undertaking. So Isidore is going to be the same.
Yeah, South Seas House was 1994 till 2002. Just to be clear.
Oh, okay, thanks. I
No,
guess.
that's not positive, I know. Not positive. But there was a major community effort. Well, I shouldn't say that. From start of effort to finish of construction. But it was really a long haul to get to funds for construction and then a long haul of construction.
And the city does nothing quickly.
So do we know who when you say there was people supposed to come out, I'm just trying to keep up with a note under a subnote. Do you know who was supposed to come out or what department they were from?
That'd be a question for Donna.
The Recreation and Parks, I guess, department, engineering, just a group of, that's who comes out, looks things over. The house has some condition issues, but South Seas had greater ones. So I'm not giving up right now, but I don't think we can do very much until they sit up and say, make a comment in whatever direction they're talking about, and then we can jump in. If you go too fast, you may end up losing the whole thing. So it's like that.
Okay. Just making some notes here. Got it. All right, cool, Donna. I really appreciate it. And Teresa, thank you. Who wants to go next? Is there any other we're talking about the couple ideas that we want to kind of focus and agendize?
Maybe Ariane can answer how you get programs started. Leslie Shaw doesn't have a building, but it does have a library with a multi-purpose room. There are lots of things you can do that can be done, I'm sure, with a MOU between the park and the library. So I know if we can get parents to throw in and get involved, maybe Ariane can let you know what needs to be done to get them involved so that programs can be started that are in and out, or even have a acting director for Leslie Shaw situated at the library. I don't know.
Good idea.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I saw your hand go up. Go for it.
I was gonna say that the last few meetings that I've been on, I haven't seen any of my coworkers from the other parks. So I'm not even sure, and I don't even know if they realize that the neighborhood that they serve is also the same neighborhood that you all serve. So I think one of the things to start with would be to create like some communication between this committee and then the parks that you guys are interested in, because I'm not even, I don't know, I've only been to a few meetings. I'm not even sure if they know that they should be talking to you guys. I don't know.
Right.
So I think the first step would be to create that communication so that those parks know that that the people that this committee serves is the same families. And then if there's a way that we can create an open line for us to because I know we can post, I think we can post on we can get our stuff posted on your website, but they may not even know that. So I would have to, I don't even know if they know, because I don't know if you guys have communication with the Queen Anne staff or with the, because I know the Queen Anne staff, but you may not know the Queen Anne staff. And I know the Normandy staff. I don't know Lauren Miller too well, but that's nothing, that's just a phone call. I know who the person is who's running that site right now, but I'm not she's not somebody I talk to on a regular basis. So, but I think that would be the first step, is to figure out which parks you guys want to, I don't know what the word is, which parks you want to be in communication with, then we can kind of work towards making sure we establish that communication with all those parks.
Yeah, Laura, do you want to chime in? I see your hand raised,
Yeah.
and you kind of brought that up.
Well, yeah, so actually that would be such an excellent way to start gathering the information of what the amenities are and what the programs are at each of the parks by simply issuing an invitation like nowish for them to come to the next meeting on Zoom, which would be the 22nd of November. So because, yeah, if somebody from Normandy Park or somebody from Queen Anne or somebody from Lauren Miller came, they could tell us what the key, what characterizes their park. Because, obviously individual programs come and go and go and come. Sometimes that's dependent on somebody wanting to teach a class, right, Ariane? I mean, but broadly speaking, what are their broad amenities that draw people to the parks? And that would help us start building our sort of, here's a picture of our parks. Also, I will say that I do look at the websites, when I have a rainy Sunday as opposed to a rainy Monday, I might sit down and write, start going out and doing research and create a news and updates in UNNC e-blast and just say, oh, this program's coming up and that fun thing is being scheduled. So I've looked at the parks websites, and it's really, really hard to find information about the cool program next week. So, I don't know, Ariane, if there's any way for parks to do Facebook pages or a Facebook page for a region. UNNC could not create another Facebook page because we're sort of limited to one thing per social media type. I mean, neighborhood councils, we can't do like 5 Facebook pages. But it'd be really kind of cool to have something that moves fast and information is posted. Because, I've looked at it, but mostly I'll end up looking like, hey, does anybody have a movie this week? If I'm doing that kind of reporting, as it were, for UNNC. So it'd be, Sebastian, maybe it wouldn't be hard to figure out who the park directors are, and maybe we should invite them to the next meeting.
Okay. Let's see here. Sorry.
No, you're writing this down.
Yeah.
And then both Stephen Lang has his hand up next.
Yes, I recognize Stephen to speak.
Sure, thank you. First of all, thank you everyone for putting in this work over here. Honestly, I did stumble in looking for Mark Ridley Thomas Aftermath, and I know that's tomorrow now, but I'm happy to chime in on what I've heard over here and thank. I thought Donna's suggestion of just, taking the temperature of everyone through whatever groups is great to see what programs people want in the community. Besides your other ones, there's like the Mothers of West Adams groups left and right. And if you don't have all those, let me know. And then I was hearing a good conversation also about Leslie Shaw and the library. As someone who's now got a kid at 6th Avenue Elementary School, we'd love to definitely have some more things happening in that vicinity. I know that Vineyard Park has after school activities, and that's more close to Virginia Road. But like 6th Avenue has the stuff on campus, which kind of locks you in to their program, and there's limited capacity. So it'd be nice to have something for the kids after school for the 6th Avenue community. Who knows how many kids are going to participate. So definitely start slow with, one thing a month or whatever it is along the way. But I would definitely encourage some collaboration between, where you can meet up at the library and use the park for the 6th Avenue kids after school.
Good idea, Stephen. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm just taking notes here.
And then
Do you know who
that's
the
all I pretty much
principal
have to
is
say. I
at
got to deal with my
6th Ave?
kids, so I'll check with you guys tomorrow on the other stuff.
Hey, Stephen, really quick, do you know who the
Yeah.
principal is at the moment at 6th Ave?
It's Mr. Miranda.
It's Kim with a K?
Mr. Miranda, Jaime
Oh,
Miranda.
Tim. Oh, Jaime. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Anything else you guys want from me as a 6th Avenue parent, new 6th Avenue parent?
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're doing good so far.
Good stuff.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
does
thanks.
anybody
I'm gonna
else?
check out with the deal with my kids. Appreciate all your work, guys.
All right, Stephen, thanks for stopping in. Teresa?
Thanks, Sebastian. I just thought of a program that when my son was young, we used to take him to. It was called Bedtime with Books, and all the kids would come, like 7 or 8 o'clock, and they would already have their pajamas on. And then somebody, I think he was probably like kindergarten, first, second, third grade, somewhere in that area. And then some, this was in Beverly Hills, so we would always have some semi-famous author come in and read from their book, and then everybody would get a free book. But we could have something like that, maybe bedtimes with books, and maybe during the summer it would work a little bit better. The kids can come in their pajamas and somebody can read, and maybe if there's an MPG, we can get some money to buy the book, so then everybody can get a book to take home or something like that. I don't know, I'm just kind of, coming off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I know parents would want to read. I mean, I always love reading out loud, hearing my own voice sometimes. So that's a great idea. I'd prefer famous authors. That would be great. Do you have any contacts by chance?
I can't think of any right now. My son is 30 years, no, he's 28, but I can go back and think. I don't know anybody, but that's something I'd be willing to work on. Or
well,
we have some
authors,
young parents.
as long as they don't die, they stay famous. That's the great thing about being an author,
Yeah. Maybe we just get some animated parents to do a good job,
That would be
reading.
fantastic. Yeah, totally. Laura?
Well, we have a couple of authors, even a famous author or two that live in this area. I don't know that they're doing children's books, but they have children. So, maybe the famous author doesn't necessarily read from his or her oon book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be a bit, yeah.
But we have Barbara Botchner, I'm probably mangling her last name, but she's a children's author and she lives in Western Heights. And I'm really losing it, but a former member of our board who lives in Harvard Heights is actually a really famous author whose name escapes me. And she has a 6-year-old. So, but she's not writing books for 6-year-olds. But we have, anyway, it's interesting because that's the connection between the library and the park. And so I'll remind you that under construction right now is the kids park next to the Washington Irving Library. So so it'd be interesting to explore, Teresa, I think it was you who said an MOU between the library and the park, but it would almost be
Donna.
Okay, so 2 MOUs between 2 different libraries and 2 different parks, and they'd be quite different from each other because you know, the park next to Washington Irving is like really seemingly aimed at small children. So, I mean, these are just ideas to explore for the next
Yeah.
year or two, for all I know.
And I'd like to raise my hand just to throw out my ideas. One item, and I think a member of the public brought it up last week, that I'd like to agendize is safety, park safety.
Mhm.
I'm just writing down my ideas. And that includes signage and, you know, I think her name was Stacy, brought up specifically the cameras at Leslie Shaw, and I think Donna or somebody else brought up Benny Potter, you know, the graffiti and you know, the better policing up there, or what we can do to kind of engage the public safety officers up there, and just, you know, park safety and overall, right, for the inhabitants, and also for the occupants, right, whether they be temporarily shelterless or just, you know, families or dog walkers, right? So I believe
Mhm.
strongly and safely, and I would like to add park safety to the agenda. And then again, like I was saying earlier, I'd also like to talk about park maintenance. That's important, and under that umbrella, you know, park maintenance / landscaping. I don't want to make it too broad, but you know, when we see issues, if there's a, you know, a down, you know, a few months back, or maybe it's COVID times, but like a year ago, a sycamore branch broke down at Leslie Shaw, which was heartbreaking, but rest assured the tree is thriving. But if we see, you know, a lot of trash, or a drinking fountain isn't working the way it should be, or, you know, we notice weeds that haven't been pulled in months, something like that, you know, a way that we can provide to the community direct contact, or maybe a phone number to report those sorts of items. So I'm going to kind of add those items too, and do my research on landscaping and public maintenance. I'm just writing. Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Teresa?
thanks. This is kind of directed to Laura. Laura, do you think it's feasible to have the public contact this level of city services directly, or should they just all contact Sebastian?
Oh, no, I think, well, first of all, that's kind of extraordinary to ask one
Well, and
person,
I also
although, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
have the
but if the one
answers,
person
right?
were Donna, she'd do it, but,
No, but we have 311, and I'm just wondering if we have the names on our site, or let's say on the recreation page.
right.
We already have 311 for graffiti, but we would have an additional person, and they're going to field calls directly from us to.
Yeah.
Well, like a park maintenance supervisor, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just asking, Laura.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking the right answer, because part of what we do is trying to engage our stakeholders and help empower them, right? So maybe the right answer is say, Tom, if you know, Tom Smith, if you see something, here's who you call. And once you do it, send a notice to Sebastian that you did do it, at what time, what day, you know, what date, what time, who would you send it to? And was it a text? Was it a phone call? Was it an email? So in other words, so we can start, you know, documenting the calls, right? But not asking Sebastian to make all the calls or all the emails.
Yeah, I didn't mean it. I was, what I said.
Yeah,
go ahead, let Donna chime in.
Yeah.
I was wondering, you're talking about upkeep at Leslie Shaw. We do have a person that does that, and that his name and number should be shared, as well as his supervisor, because frequently with COVID, there's an excuse for everything. I want you to know. It took us months to get the graffiti off the wall and behind the park. And thanks to Arian going to the owner of the property, graffiti would come out, notice it wasn't on the bathroom, and just ignore it. But Arian went next door to the owner of the property and got an okay. And then at that point, I was able to reach out to someone who got it taken care of right away. It's a matter of making the connections with the people that are the movers and shakers for your space. And there are a couple of names that can be shared out through the community pages, through Nextdoor, so people know. And you can form we have a quality of life committee for our area. I think for the park, there could be Friends of Leslie Shaw. And there could be people who sort of can help be organized a little bit around being able to reach out to others, let them know where they can do what, and not just depend upon park staff, because it just isn't happening. And the neighborhood has to have the ability to form contacts with the people who work in departments. I'm not lucky with 311, Teresa. I know they're supposed to do things, but I don't get them. They don't do things. I have to go beyond them so often and find out whose name is on that particular area and then reach out to them.
Well,
That's just me.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we haven't been successful with 311 in Benny Potter Park. Now, over the bridge, like the 10th Avenue Bridge, I take a picture, we post it, and then the next day or two, boom, the graffiti is taken over. I mean, it's painted over. But in Benny Potter Park, when you go to put it in the 311, and I was going to talk to Sharon about this, you need to put in a specific address, and they don't have a drop down for the park. So you have to know the exact address to have them come out. And when they do, even if you have a picture of, say, the bathroom door, they may get that, but they won't get the electrical box, which is, 100 feet away. You have to have a separate picture. So I know Donna said one time, oh, just go talk to Arian. But I didn't do that. We were still trying to post the pictures and everything. And it does take a while for them to get to the parks. So maybe 311 isn't the best for the parks.
It shouldn't be, because they come through there every day and frequently they eat there on the truck, the people who work the area. And we just have asked them, could you go past certain things when you're in the area? That 6th Avenue drive over, 10th Avenue drive over, and a couple of other spots where they're, and the park, because you're gonna find something frequently. And if you do it often enough, they get tired and they don't come back. So we're not getting as much graffiti, but I had one that was beyond me, because I won't go too far into it, but it was in someone's yard on her garage. And she is basically a person who doesn't come out of the house, doesn't talk to anybody, doesn't do anything. She lives at 24th and Arlington. I'm sorry, 25th and Arlington. Her back of her garage was a painting of graffiti. And it was on her property. And they would do the things they could reach from the street. They weren't going to the garage. But it's because I have some connections on a regular basis with people. I took pictures. We got hold of her because the neighbor walked over and talked to her. She never answered the phone to anyone, but we were able to say she didn't even know it was there, and she was afraid of the people who were doing it, and we got it done. But it's just connections.
So I agree. I'm like, so 311, Donna, has worked great for me. It's just mostly only for graffiti, I should say, and trash pickup. But I agree with you. So how would we kind of paraphrase that as an item that we can follow up with each month? If you had to
at Leslie
put it in a
Shaw,
nutshell.
you have two people who work Leslie Shaw. I'm sorry, Laura, but two people, Bill Lopez Jr., I have his contact information. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, no, I have that. I'm just, so specifically, if we, because I'm trying to make notes to agendize this, right? So we can keep tabs on our progress. So if you had to paraphrase that, I guess, help me with have a way with words here. Yeah, and Laura, speak up, please, if you have an idea.
Well, I think this
There
category.
are 5 of us here, Laura, just talk.
Okay, I'm trying to be polite. I think the category is who you gonna call, because
That's a good one. And have a Ghostbusters
who you
logo.
gonna call. And I'm sitting back and I'm sort of thinking it would be, because who you are going to call, whoever you are, is different depending on geographically and physically what you're calling about and where it is. So if where it is inside a park, it's a different person, it sounds like, than if it's the back of a lady's garage or just other public realm space. So I'm back to if we can get the answers, then that's just a news article we put on the website, but it ends up with a permanent space. And we somehow have something to communicate to people, because it does sound like it's, it's a services thing. And long ago and far away, but we have too many of them to do it again right now. UNNC created refrigerator magnets, which are really they're not metal, they're flexible material, and it lists all the city service phone numbers. It's pretty far out of date, but we've got about 500 more to give out. So I don't think we're going to print them again at the moment, but that's the kind of thing we should work towards, because maybe it's only 150 we have left, or maybe it's so inexpensive it's okay to waste these, throw them out, and print a new batch that's up to date.
And that's a terrific idea. I love that when you go to the library or whatever and you see those there, those are terrific. Right. And those are the type of people that actually frequent parks and actually would make the call. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, and we give away the refrigerator magnets well, maybe we'll give them all away, like at Ciclavia, where we're gonna have a little.
Perfect.
Well, we get to be in the hub. UNNC gets to be in the hub, so maybe we'll be able to get rid of all the old ones, so we're justified to print new ones. God willing. Anyway, but that we can get
COVID
rid of the
willing,
old ones.
Oh yeah, okay.
But anyway, I think a lot of what we're talking about tonight requires that we research some answers and then have outreach around it. And and I don't know, Donna, do we have a lot of graffiti, or Teresa, either a lot of graffiti problems at South Seas or at Benny Potter? Because I swear I don't notice it, but
I think it flows in and out, especially now that we have MS-13 doing a lot of tagging around. And but I tell you, James jogs three times a week, and he always makes that loop around up there, and that's when he takes the picture. My husband James. So to him, it seems like it's increasing because of the MS-13. And what happens is if they don't get it right away, then somebody else will tag on top of that, and someone else tags on top of that, and it just I just want to say that I'm looking at the Wrexham Parks our UNNC website, and I'm looking at their page. I was just wondering if maybe it's possible to put who you're going to call on that page. I know it says committee, and then it says chair. There's supposed, the mission statement is supposed to be there, but maybe somewhere we could squeeze in something. Who are you going to call? And then we just have, for graffiti 311 or Bill Lopez. That was
right. That'd be semi easy enough to do. So I mean,
Ariane, did you want to answer who you should reach out to for Benny Potter? Or do you do a walkthrough every day?
I do a walkthrough, so I know kind of what's there. The couple of things that I've been trying to get done is the bench. So the bench, there's one of the benches that's in the park. I have put in a job order for them to come and paint it. At the same time, they painted the bathroom, and then they painted the bench the same color as the bathroom, which they weren't supposed to do that. And then since then, they've went back over. So I need to, the task sometimes on my end is trying to figure out how to be specific enough to get done exactly what we get done, because I can't just say paint it, because I have to basically say, okay, I need you to bring the red paint, like I have to figure out what paint it is, so they will come out with the right color and not paint it the same color that they painted the bathroom, because the guy comes out with a can of paint and he does the bathroom. Okay, fine. Okay, can you do the bench? And then he'll take that same paint and walk over to the bench. And so that's what I've been kind of trying to figure out, is how to address it and give a specific request so that it meets exactly what we need, if that makes any sense.
Totally.
So yes, and I did notice that there's graffiti back on the apartment building that we reached out to, and we just got painted again. It's back up there. And it's been, the BPS has been writing on there, are writing lately too. So they've been kind of going back and forth, which are Bloods, along with the MS-13. So that's, there's. and
Right
it's
to
back- Go ahead.
Arian,
Yes,
write to Mary Jones, or if you want me to, I will write to her because she was the one that was able to get it off pretty quickly.
Okay, okay. Mary Jones.
Because she has the exact person who is sort of their boss that sends people out for Benny Potter. And that
Okay.
we were able to get it done like in 2 hours
Okay,
of that day. And he wrote back to her with a picture of it cleared up. So
Okay.
write to her, Mary.Jones@LAcity.
Mary Dot
Or-
Jones. She's with the council office, right?
Yes,
Okay, so as your moderator, I'm not supposed to tell you what to do, but
Right. So I was
do you
just
have a
gonna
long
say,
enough list?
I do. I'm sorry. I'm trying to type too. So I guess, are there any other comments before I read back what I've written? Kind of broad brush what I've written. All right. So right now I have, again, Teresa, I have your trees at, and I'm just, paraphrasing here. So let me know if I missed anything. Teresa's trees at Shaw, and the Steve Dupree urban forestry contact. And then I don't know, again, I think this is a good one, but the Isidore House and what's going on with that, updates, the Quimby fund tracking, public fund tracking in general, sharing services and amenities. First we have to gather the info and then figure out a way to post it. Again, gathering is the first step. Steve kind of piggybacked on the collaboration idea, but the collaboration between 6th Ave Elementary, I have the Jaime Miranda is the principal. I'm going to try to reach out to him. I have my public safety, landscape / public maintenance. We have the who you're going to call kind of subtext, umbrella with this of 311, kind of figure out how to add that. And then also another action item that I'll take is the finding out who the park directors are and invite them to the next meeting if possible. So I guess with that being said, I don't know how we want to, go ahead.
Yeah, there was one more that Mr. Lang kind of breezed over very quickly, but he said involve it's an organization called, Moms, but the Moms of West Adams. It's actually a very active group. And as it's usually parents of toddlers. So over the years, it's a different president every year, and then they graduate because their kids are now 8 or whatever. But this group is relatively powerful. They're the ones who raised all the funds to build the Click School, the charter school. So that's a big deal. And they have booths at the Wellington Square Farmers Market. They're very active. Whoever they are now, it's a strange Moms, like mother, Moms of West Adams. So Arian, for example, one of the people involved was Andrea, because she gets older now, Andrea Dunlap. So who I think because she's involved now with bringing the Click kids to, I think, South Sea's house, right? Anyway.
I got that. So I'll add that. So
so maybe they could come to one meeting and tell us what they need in the parks.
That's a great idea. Let me just write that. And see what they want. Okay. So I guess I know we all have enough to do, but I think that it would be prudent to kind of, and again, we can kind of agendize this and decide next meeting, but kind of assign action items, right? So nothing's going to get done if we just talk about it. So I think that if we, again, we don't have to do that today, especially with kind of missing some folks. But if we want to assign action items. That way people can kind of give updates at each meetings on what they've done, who they've talked to, or anything exciting developments, so to speak. I think that would be a good idea. So let me type this up and I'll add it to the next agenda. And then we can clean it up and actionize, or make it action items for different people, because it's too much for one person to kind of track down. Arian, I saw a chat come in and I didn't read it.
I just answered it.
Okay, cool. So it was, what's the name of the organization again? Mums of West Adams, a chapter of a national organization. Okay, cool. Sweet. So if there's nothing else on that, silence is assumed consent. I'm going to pause here if anybody else has anything that I missed that they want to add. Okay. Do we want to circle back to item number
It's
4?
really 5, I think.
5, the updates and highlights
And
from
I
Rec and Parks
misnumbered.
Department staff. Right. I think it was, no, you had that one numbered, right?
It is 4, right? There were 2
Yeah.
6s. Sorry. Okay.
So I don't know who usually gives that. Is that Arian?
Yeah.
What am I giving?
So while you
Updates.
were, updates from Rec and Parks. While you were
Oh.
entering the house, we skipped over you to let you get situated. So
Okay, I was probably posting up stuff. So we are having something for Halloween. It's gonna be for the kids in our program. That's gonna be on Friday. It's only for the kids in the programs that we are running right now. South Seas is going to, for this park in particular, we're going to be running, we still have Universal Play going. So that's still happening. Our programs in terms of our enrollment right now is doing more, we have more kids on the weekends right now than during the week. But hopefully that'll increase, but we'll see, because winter time is coming. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, we're having a camp over Thanksgiving for 3 days. And then we're gonna have camp during the winter time, around Christmas time and on the kids' vacations. I'm gonna be running a daily, like paid by the day instead of the whole week, just because it's the holidays and people don't always want the whole week. So that's what's happening at this particular park. In terms of Benny Potter, like we talked about before, I'm still, trying to shoot out, and Gavin does too, job orders to get stuff painted as quickly as we can. I'm sure you guys know, often as soon as we get it painted, it goes right back to being drawn on. The neighbors down the street or across the street from the park, well, on 2nd Avenue, that we reached out to before, and thank you, Donna. She got their I think it's their garage painted. Unfortunately, there's graffiti back on there again, which we anticipated. And hopefully, I'm hoping as it gets colder, at least for a couple months, people will be too cold to go out and graffiti, but it's just my hopes and dreams. But other than that, the parks in our area. So one of the things that is, and I'm sure you guys probably know or maybe don't know, but like Sharon is my supervisor. She's a supervisor over some of the parks in our district, which includes Queen Anne and Normandy is included. But like Lauren Miller and the parks south of some of the other parks in the UNNC service area are not in our district, but that doesn't mean that we can't reach out to them to invite them. So getting like a little email list wouldn't be that, I could do that. I can get like an email list maybe and supply it so you guys can, the agenda and the invitation to this meeting can go to them, so they at least are aware that it's happening. If that would be helpful. And that way we can start maybe getting their the things that they're offering, what they're doing, And then hopefully we can come up with a way so that everybody can kind of, you know, send in all their stuff easily, or, you know, post all their stuff easily. I don't know how that would work. That's
I
one.
think the more info, the merrier. And once we figure out this, oh, the other thing I wanted to add is the web page on the previous thing. That's what on the list. But yeah, we just have to figure out a way to get the info out. Teresa, I see you. I recognize you.
Thanks, Sebastian. I just texted my husband. We're going to take on the bedtime with books. We will try to work out a program for that. I don't know, maybe we can work with Arian on that, and then maybe do it as a pilot program at South Sea's house in the evenings, one day a month, and we'll fund some books, and we'll try to find an author or some animated parent to read a great story to the kids.
That would be awesome.
That would be fine. We do have our, as you all know, we have, I don't know how big of a group you're looking at, but we have the backyard area that could probably be utilized for that. And if, just because it's enclosed, especially if you're doing little kids, but if you still want to use the area, like where they usually have the movie in the park, if you want to do something like that, just for social distancing purposes, we can also do that. I'm not going to commit to it until I get approval. I have to talk to my supervisors and my, the people who approve what I can do. But I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, then I will, how about James and I stop by one day and chit chat with you about it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Awesome. Laura?
Yeah, I have a question for Arian. Holidays, meaning not Halloween. I know we couldn't and didn't do a haunted house. I can tell because I'm looking at the house. You haven't done that. But is there any plan for any sort of, probably not, but winter wonderland holiday event in the park this year in COVID? Probably not.
I haven't planned for anything. I'm hoping that they don't tell me that I can do it at the very last minute, because up until now, they've been telling us that we're only allowed to do stuff for the kids that are enrolled in our programs, and not opening it up to the community. It's possible that they might say, okay, if you want to do an event, you have to get it cleared through us and then we can do it. So that's something that's possible.
Well, I'm not even necessarily encouraging it. What I am encouraging is, if there's going to be something, how you just say you hope they don't tell you at the last minute. I hope you don't tell us at the last minute.
Yeah. I would, if they tell me tomorrow that I can have a community public event, then I would just tell all you guys that they're gonna, I would just let you know, because that would make it easier. And I'm sure you guys might want to be involved in some way. Up until now, they keep saying, but I don't, like I said, I don't know, because things are happening and I'm just not quite sure yet which direction we're moving in, really, if we're moving towards opening the door for more things, or if we're still, I don't know. I'm not really sure. So
are any other parks doing anything, Arian? Pan Pacific, Queen Anne, are they doing?
Everybody has been instructed to just do stuff for the kids. Now they are doing stuff, but it's like everybody has been instructed to just do the stuff for the kids. Like, I can invite my after school program. I can invite the kids enrolled in my soccer class. I can invite all those kids. But in terms of just the kids who are just living in the neighborhood, I've been told to just limit it to the kids that we have coming in. I guess, I don't know, for exposure purposes, I'm not really sure. But
hopefully we have a vaccine soon and that's all behind us, right?
Well, we have one, but what about your winter
kids.
holiday? Do kids have to be vaccinated, or none of that has been brought forward?
So the next thing that I've heard is that they're not requiring, okay, what did they tell me? they do want, okay, so you know how like elementary schools are testing them like every week, I think. And I believe it's after November 29th, they're gonna be asking for kids to at least provide proof, like a negative test to attend, like for example, camp and indoor activities, like stuff, you know, activities where we have the kid, where the kids have to be indoors or they have to be together on a consistent basis. Like for example, camp, like winter camp, they're probably gonna ask the parents to provide a weekly negative COVID test. But in terms of vaccinations, they might be asking parents who are, I think they're asking parents of children who are 12 and over to be vaccinated for, like, especially like for indoor sports, like they're trying to run basketball indoors in the winter. So they're going to be asking parents to provide negative tests, which when school is in, it's not as big of a deal because the school is doing it for them every week for the most part, most schools. Click does it, I know for sure. But like during the vacation times, it's my understanding that's going to be their parents' responsibility to go take their child and get them tested if they're not already vaccinated. So that's kind of where it is that, yeah, they're going to be asking parents to provide at least a negative test because, you know, up until now, I don't think they've done that before. We just hope for the best with the kids, but now they're going to be asking parents to get a negative test at the very least. So that's coming up for the holidays,
Awesome.
for camp.
Well, that sounds like good stuff. Donna, did you still have something?
That was
No?
my question. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, Erin, do you have anything else you want to share under the Rec and Parks update, or are you good?
No, that's about it. Those are the things. I am gonna be obviously I'm gonna be decorating for Christmas. So if anybody has any spare Christmas decorations, theme doesn't matter. I can work with a different, you know, the Grinch. I can work with the Grinch. But yeah, you know, Christmas decorations. I'm gonna post. Donna suggested I posted on Nextdoor for a Christmas tree. Our Christmas tree is a little weathered, so I'm probably gonna post on Nextdoor to see if anybody has, hopefully not a real Christmas tree, but a fake Christmas tree that they don't mind parting with.
And Arian, ask for other decorations too, because a lot of people will say, oh, I don't have a Christmas tree, but I have bulbs or I have garland or something. So
Yeah, we have some things from West Adams Avenue. As I said, I'm going to get them to you this week. And also do all the community pages in Jefferson Park. And Gavin has all the places that you can post. People have things they want to donate.
Okay.
It would be great.
Awesome. Okay, well, without further ado, let's go to the next agenda item, which is old business follow-up to previous items. Do we have any old business that no, I don't think we have any old business that we need to circle back on. Is there anything that, you know, I've only been here, this is my second meeting, so is there anything that somebody wants to talk about from a previous meeting under this heading?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
We need to figure out how we can get people out, even if it's for 30 or 40 minutes to this meeting. There are too many parents with kids who use the park who are not here. So
Agreed.
that's
How do we go about doing that, Donna? Do we have to hand out a flyer and say, hey, make sure you come to the next UNNC Parks and Recs meeting? Or what do we do?
I think the community pages, people are reading them. Nextdoor, people are reading them. We've got a blast with social media the 2 to 3 days like the meeting's on Monday, starting at Wednesday, the week before, it needs to be put on and posted to the top of the page. And maybe start up each one call one, remind each other, because I know people are busy, they have families, they have things, but if they can set aside a small amount of time to get in and get their finger in the soup, because otherwise the soup is not going to be soup. It's just
So
going to be stone in water.
I have an idea to answer your question, Teresa, but I don't have a Nextdoor account, or Facebook either. Can we post on, are we allowed to post on Nextdoor or Facebook, our URL and invite folks? Because that's a really visible.
We do. Well, Laura can answer that because I think we do already.
Yeah, we do. We have a UNNC web Facebook that isn't very active. I don't want to go into all the details. One of the ideas we have had and funded is to have our graphic artists create, for each of the committees as sort of an icon, so we can use it for posting on Instagram and Facebook and Nextdoor. But as I'm sitting through in this meeting, what I'm really thinking would be effective privately. So in other words, not UNNC creating it, but if we can create a Facebook page privately, we being folks,
Members, yeah.
and have half a dozen admins, right? So not something anyone can just post anything they want to, but for the parks of Historic West Adams or parks of whatever, and that so that we can liven it up by posting the events in all the parks, but then we can also be posting, as we're gaining followers, the meetings too. I mean, in other words, some combination of, Teresa, you now subscribe to the commission agenda, Recreation Parks Commission agendas. There might be something on one of those that could get posted. So create sort of a dedicated all about parks, all about these parks, but it would need a name that none of the things I just said are right. And there's no funding needed for Facebook, but there would need to be, some sort of admin rules and makes people who are admins. So that would be one thing I'd say. And then other than that, it's really hard for us, just because we're all volunteers, to get our agendas together a week or two in advance. But maybe, that would be one way to be able to get more marketing done, is if we have the Zoom links much earlier. On the next meeting date, Arian just asked.
Isn't it the same Zoom link?
No, for security purposes, it's every meeting's got its own. We don't.
Oh, that might have been part of the reason. Yeah, there was quite, okay, then
Yeah.
I messed up. I sent out the old Zoom link. Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, but so each agenda has a new Zoom link.
Okay, well, that explains it. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I wouldn't mind, I can sign up for Nextdoor. How, I guess specifically.
Well,
asking a
Nextdoor,
specific question.
UNNC has a government account, but other than that, the way Nextdoor
Yeah, but
works is everybody's individual.
I could do it as a private citizen, is what I'm saying is, I could post it on there, and if it gets
Absolutely.
enough, I can do what I want, right, as a private
Yeah.
citizen. So,
Um,
and I can ask others to do so. But how soon can we get that? Can we at least get it like a few days before? I think that would be
well,
best.
it's when you create the agenda and you trigger me. So if you want to do a calendar reminder
Okay, so it's
to
on me.
yourself,
Yeah.
10
do it
days
right now.
out and create it, then that triggers for me. Because remember, I'm going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. So I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily thinking about your standalone agenda 10 days early. But as soon
gonna
as
do it
I'm
right now,
reminded, I
actually.
can create the Zoom meeting and the advanced agenda packet. So, it's not impossible. That's not a heavy task. I just don't think about it because 10 days out, I'm thinking about
Yeah.
probably planning and zoning.
Sebastian, you have now committed to the fourth Monday of every month?
Yeah, the fourth. Yeah, that way, guys. We started on the 4th. Let's
Okay.
just keep it the last Monday or the 4th Monday in the month.
Okay.
And that was always a wide open date anyway, so that's cool. And yeah, so the farther in advance we have it, the more we can market it, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I
on the
think maybe
agenda.
our communications can set up a Facebook page, a separate.
Well,
West
Teresa,
Adams-
what I'm trying to say is, as a government entity, we can't, but maybe they could help us set up a private one.
Okay.
Since they
But
know
the
what they're doing.
UNNC does have a Facebook page, so why
Correct,
can't
we can have
can't-
one only. We can have one
Oh.
Facebook, one Instagram, one this, one that. We
Oh,
can't
I
have
see.
multiples. Yeah,
Okay.
but as individuals, we can do anything. So Sebastian, the one thing just to be careful about, if we have on an agenda, an action item that's going to be a discussion and a vote, with a motion, that you can put that out even as the chair of a committee, but you can't say how you're going to vote. Right? I mean, we can't, we can just publicize that it would happen.
Got it. Okay. Just
Because I
finishing my note.
think you mentioned, Sebastian, that there were a lot of young parents in Leslie Shaw Park. Look, I'm going to be quite honest. I don't go to the parks that often. If I'm out for a walk, I walk through the park. Maybe I'll sit down at a bench, but I'm going to be quite frank. I'm looking at, oh, look, that tree looks like it needs to be pruned, or this thing or that thing. I am not, sitting down there enjoying the swing set. So if there are a lot of young parents.
But we are, yeah.
Yeah. So those are the ones I think Donna is suggesting, that they need to be here. They need to be committed, come with what they want or how they want to see the parks function better, what they would like. Let's everybody come together to see if we can make it the park stronger and, better for everybody. But they have to come.
And I just logged onto my email and I see several emails telling me, and of course I'm not checking my emails, but several emails that the link doesn't work. So that was my fault. So
yeah, well,
So
what's
next month,
interesting,
we're gonna have a whole bunch of people next month.
yeah.
hopefully, yeah.
And
It is
by the way, though,
Thanksgiving.
that it's interesting, because usually if somebody tries to log in to a Zoom meeting that's already held, I get a notice in my email anyway. So I'll check what's going on with Zoom, because
Yeah.
that happens, and then I just email the person and say, no, here's the right link. And I've been checking my email through this meeting.
And that should be posted. The link for this meeting should be posted the week before.
Okay,
I
Donna,
send out everything.
that's what we
Yeah.
just discussed. And yes, Sebastian will start doing it earlier.
And then he doesn't have to worry about trying to tell people. He'll kill himself trying to reach out to every single person. Let's
Right.
build a list and then we just send it out.
Correct,
you
but
can
it would
email-
need to be, Donna, that's correct, but it truly would need to be the chair or someone he can enlist to help, because to rely solely on me to do all of that outreach, I can't.
You shouldn't be the one doing it. That's my
Correct.
point.
Right,
Yeah.
correct. But it all starts with starting earlier, and that's easily done.
Got it.
Right.
All right. Well, I think that horse has been beaten. Is there any other old business or follow-ups that we'd like to discuss?
Hmm.
Wow, are we gonna end early?
Yes, please.
We don't want to throw a hot button item out there, Mark Ridley Thomas or something that we could talk about for the next,
Yeah.
Nick?
Come till tomorrow's meeting.
Come to
Okay,
tomorrow,
with that
yes.
with that being said, I guess I'll call this meeting to an end at 7:51 p.m. and would like to thank everyone for participating. And I think I'll get with you, Laura, but I'm gonna write up these bullet notes and I'm definitely gonna do that. I had no idea the agenda kind of was the driver, so apologies to everyone. And yeah, I'm learning still. So thank you for your patience.
Okay,
Great
Listen,
job, great job.
Thank you for bothering to try to take it on.
I
But we
appreciate
just
your
want you to,
participation, Donna.
you need to have a crew and
I think
I
we
don't
all
have
do.
little kids. You have little kids,
It's yeah.
kid
Well,
parents.
get your dog walking
attract
friends
others.
because it's more than just kids too. Don't forget, right? So we
Yeah.
all need
Well,
to have a crew.
yeah. I mean, I see all the dog parents at Benny Potter, that I see.
Exactly.
Not that it's a dog park, but don't tell them.
Yeah. Well, the more eyes in the park, more friendly eyes in the park, in my mind, the better. So,
Yes.
and certain people don't like dogs. Like certain criminal elements don't like dogs, so they're good in my
Mhm.
mind.
All right.
Anyway, all right.
Okay.
With
Thank
that being
you.
said, thank you,
Okay.
everyone. See you soon.
Okay, thank
Bye-bye.
you. Okay, good
All right, bye
night.
for
Bye,
now.
Donna.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Laura.
Bye-bye,
Bye, Sebastian.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
I'm
Good to see
ending
you
the
all.
See you tomorrow.
meeting.
Talk to you